I'm Ratna Bhushan, a friend, motivator, and guide to IAS aspirant, international motivational speaker, leadership trainer, CEO, coach, political strategist, and policy advisor. Welcome to ASG. ASG believe in quality, commitment, and success. A comprehensive current for dedicated student. Listening is very powerful. Listening is very powerful. Listening, learning, leading. दोस्तों जो फैक्ट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट होगा उसे मैं 3 to 5 टाइम्स रिपीट करूंगा जिसे आप नोट कर सकते हैं. And before starting the program, I would like to tell you, please share, subscribe and like. Don't forget it. इस वीडियो को सबको शेयर करें, फैलाने में मेरी मदद करें. बस 1 मिनट मुझे दें, आपसे मुझे बहुत इंकरेजमेंट मिलता है. आपके छोटे से प्रयास से लाखों करोड़ों लोगों को फ़ायदा पहुंचेगा. न्यूज़ जानना हर व्यक्ति की आवश्यकता है. सो today's quote is literacy is not the end of education. Literacy is not the end of education or even the beginning. This quote by Mahatma Gandhi from the book The Words of Gandhi, written by Richard Attenborough. So the most important news of today is source the Hindu newspaper and Indian Express. Mining giant told to pay $2 billion for Arctic spill. Mining giant told to pay $2 billion for Arctic spill. Russia declared national emergency after a spill of 21,000 tons of diesel fuel. Russia's state environmental watchdog said on Monday that metals giant Norilsk Nickel should pay an unprecedented $2 billion in damages over a huge Arctic fuel spill. Rospri wrote Nedjor said it had sent a request for the voluntary compensation to a subsidiary of Norilsk Nickel Netek, estimating the damages of Arctic spills in the water resources at 147.8 billion rubles. Norilsk Nickel's Moscow listed share fell by nearly 5% on Monday evening, controlled by Russia's richest man, Vladimir Potanin. The company is the world's largest producer of nickel and palladium. The amount of the fine is equal to a third of its net profit in 2019. Aluminium producer Russia, which owns 28% in the Norilsk Nickel, said it found be the size and fine. In a standoff, keeping an eye on the nuclear ball. In the conventional escalations along the LAC, India cannot afford to ignore China's expanding nuclear arsenal. Despite domestic and external challenges, there is now growing evidence that the People's Republic of China (PRC) continues to expand its nuclear arsenal, which is worrisome but at the same time not be surprising. China is pursuing a planned modernization of its nuclear arsenal because it fears the multi-layered missile defense capability of the United States. It is arming its missiles with multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles (MRVs) capabilities to neutralize America's missile shield. China's DF-31AS, which are Road Mobile Intercontinental Ballistic Missile ICBMs, are equipped with MIRVs and potent penetration rates. This fact, what I'm telling you, it's very important that I will repeat 3 times. The People's Liberation Army Rocket Force (PLARF) also field of range of the medium-range ballistic missiles (MRBMs) and short-range ballistic missile (SRBMs). The PRC ballistic missile tests in 2019 were the highest among the designated nuclear weapon states. China's LOP Noor was the site of the Chinese subcritical testing science. The PRC adopted a moratorium on hot testing in 1997, enabling China to miniaturize warheads and develop new designs that had been progressively integrated into its nuclear arsenal. Once again, I am repeating. The People's Liberation Army Rocket Force (PLARF) also fields a range of medium-range ballistic missile and short-range ballistic missiles (SRBMs). The PRC's ballistic missiles tests in 2019 were the highest among the designated nuclear weapons states. China's LOP NUR नूर was the site NUR नूर, अब जैसे NUR है साइट है, उसको आप नेट से थोड़ा देख करके लिख लीजिएगा. Chinese subcritical testing since PRC adopted a moratorium on the hot testing in 1997, enabling them to miniaturize warheads and develop new designs that have been progressively integrated into its nuclear arsenal. The PRC also sits on the sizable inventory of the fissile material. China, according to the International Panel on the Fissile Materials (IPFM), is estimated to process 2.9 to 0.6 metric tons of the weapons grade plutonium compared to India's 6 to 0.15 tons of the WGP. China's expansion is a cause for the concern because even as the US and Russia are attempting to reduce the size of their respective arsenal, the PRC is on an expansionist mode. The Stockholm International Peace Research Institute observed that China's nuclear arsenal has risen from 290 warheads in 2019 to 320 warheads in 2020. This increase might not seem large relative to size of the nuclear arsenal of the US and Russia, but it indicates a gradual shift toward a larger arsenal. This presents India with the challenges because New Delhi has to be content with the nuclear-armed Pakistan as well. The Indian nuclear arsenal, according to SIPRI, stands roughly 150 nuclear warheads, with the Pakistani slightly ahead with 160 warhead. 160 warhead. Police terror and the theater of law. Jairaj Mannix case shows that without proper rule of law, citizens are condemned to live in a local tyrannies. This article was written by Sri Rajiv Bhargav in Hindu newspaper. The murder of Jairaj and the Mannix in the hands of the local police in Stankulam, Tamil Nadu has provoked a national outrage. The bare bones of the incident are widely known. A small shopkeeper is picked up for the trivial offense, taken in the local police station. His son too is detained. Both are mercilessly thrashed. The hospital to which they are taken admits that they have blood clots all over their body, but gives false certificates of the fitness. The magistrates remand them to judicial custody without examining their abused bodies, merely waving consent from the far away. Within a couple of days, the two succumbed to their grievous injuries. The next is Ethiopia's bloody mayhem. Ethiopia's bloody mayhem. The Oromos are furious, and the Handisa has been killed, even as traditional fault lines are being redrawn. Gruesome death of at least 80 protesters following the cold-blooded murder of Ethiopian political singer Hakalu Hundusia shows that tension in Ethiopia continued to fester. The iconic musician, who belonged to the largest but highly marginalized Oromo ethnic community, was killed on June 29. Hakalu, a cultural Hakalu, a cultural icon used to sing about the enduring nature of state-sponsored Oromo marginalization. The next news is more sabre rattling, more isolation. Chinese muscularity in the South China Sea is leading to growing chorus of protest. This article was written by Jayanta Prasad. The Philippines invoked the dispute settlement. This fact is very important. The Philippines invoked the dispute settlement mechanism of the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, in 2013 to test the legality of China's 9-dash line. This is very important. You may see a little bit about from the net. 9-dash line regarding the dispute spread in response, the Permanent Court of the Arbitration (PCA) at The Hague decreed in its July 12, 2016 judgment that the line had no legal basis. China dismissed the judgment as null and void. The South China Sea SCS, South China Sea SCS, South China Sea SCS, South China Sea SCS, South China Sea SCS is important not just for its littoral countries. It has been a transit point for the trade since early medieval times, contains abundant rich fisheries, and is a repository of the mineral deposits and hydrocarbon reserves, abundantly rich fisheries, and is repository of the mineral deposits and hydrocarbon reserve. PCA full form, PCA full form, PCA full form, Permanent Court of Arbitration, Permanent Court of Arbitration, Permanent Court of Arbitration. The PCA award undermined the Chinese claim. It held that none of the features of the enterprise qualified them as a island. There was no legal basis of China to claim historic rights and to the resources within the 9-dash line. The UNCLOS provide that island must sustain habitation, the capacity of the non-extractive economic activity, reefs and the shoals that unable to do so are the considered low tide elevation. The award implied that China violated the Philippines' exclusive economic zone (EEZ), exclusive economic zone. It noted that China had aggraved the situation by undertaking land reclamation and the construction and had harmed the environment and violated its obligation to preserve the ecosystem. China dismissed the award as political farce under the pretext of law. Given the power equation, the Philippines did not Given the power of equation, the Philippines did not press the enforcement of the award and acquiesced in the status quo. Not one country challenged China, which agreed to settle dispute bilaterally and to continue work on a code of conduct with the countries of ASEAN. Given that their economic ties with China are deepening, it may appear that Asian countries are bandwagoning with China, In reality, there is a growing discontent. While avoiding military confrontation with China, they are seeking political insurance, strengthening their needs and deepening their military relationship with their United States. Vietnam has added 6 kilo-class Russian-origin submarines to its navy. France, Germany, and the Netherlands, respectively, has supplied formidable class stealth ships to Singapore, patrol boats to the Brunei and Darussalam, and the corvettes to Indonesia. Japan is partially funding the upgradation of the Indonesian Coast Guard. Indonesia and the Philippines are early stages of exploring procurement of the BrahMos missile from India. The other BrahMos missiles from India. The other Asian countries that have interest are Thailand and Vietnam. So thank you very much to watch my program. God bless you. God bless Bharat.